welcome. Now we'll hand you over straight to Dr. Silanda, the Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet.
Thank you, Secretary Mangwana. Welcome once again, this time to the self-publishing decision matrix, which is going to be given as usual by the chair of the Ministers' Briefing Team, Honorable Kangwa. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Chief Secretary. And I want to welcome you again once more to our 7th meeting decision matrix. Today I'm with my colleague ministers, Minister July Moyo and Honorable Minister Professor Mabima, and right at the end there is Honorable Rovu to take your questions. Today, Cabinet received and adopted a report by the Minister of Health and Child Care on the national preparedness and response progress regarding the COVID-19 outbreak. As of 13th March 2020, more than 9,505 travelers had been screened at the country's ports of entry. And out of those number, 378 were put on surveillance. The National Microbiology Reference Laboratory has tested 14 suspected cases for COVID-19, and all were negative. Cabinet was informed that to date, up to date, there's no confirmed case of COVID-19 in Zimbabwe. The Minister advised that while more cases and deaths are being reported in Europe, 26 countries in Africa have confirmed cases of COVID-19. Of these countries, 4 are from the SADC region, namely South Africa, Eswatini, Namibia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. South Africa in particular has reported local spread of COVID-19, while the other 3 countries have reported imported cases largely from Europe. His Excellency, the President, Comrade E.G. Mnangagwa, has already provided more detail on this during his address to the nation. Furthermore, a number of measures have been put in place to deal with the outbreak, and chief among these are the following. A, developing standard operating procedures to guide implementation in the following key areas. At the points of entry, self-isolation, surveillance, rapid response teams, case investigation. Also laboratory case management, logistics, and infection prevention and control. The standard operating procedures aim to achieve efficiency, quality output, and uniformity of performance in COVID-19 preparedness and response. 2, strengthening the capacity of identified isolation centers to be able to manage severe cases throughout the country. Work has begun to upgrade Wilkins Hospital with support from the Chinese. 3, procuring confirmatory test kits for COVID-19 have been procured, and some received as donations from partners such as WHO, Africa, CDC, DFID, and Chinese government. And 4, procurement of COVID-19 rapid diagnostic tests for use at ports of entry, that is in progress. 5, discouragement of Zimbabweans from traveling to and through high-risk affected countries, as well as cancelling all non-essential travel. 6, immediate suspension of all gatherings of more than 100 people, such as 2020 Independence Anniversary celebrations, church gatherings, weddings, for a period of 60 days. Government also urges the citizenry to rely on official reports from the Ministry of Health and Child Care only. And I repeat, government urges the citizenry to rely on official reports from the Ministry of Health and Child Care. That is the report on the COVID-19. Cabinet also received a report from the Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, Honorable Professor Mavima. He updated Cabinet on the outcome of the Tripartite Negotiating Forum, a meeting which was held yesterday, 16th March 2020. Cabinet noted the recommendations made by the following subcommittees on the monetary, fiscal and inflation reduction, on institutional reforms, proposals on the erosion of salaries and wages, and measures to mitigate the impact of coronavirus. These were the topics discussed at the TNF. Cabinet also considered and approved principles to amend the State Service Pensions Act, Chapter 16.06, and this was presented once again by the Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare. The key provisions of the principles include the following. 1, to provide for the establishment of a pension fund whose objective shall be to provide for the payment of pension, gratuities, and other benefits. 2, to provide for the management of the fund by a board of trustees whose function shall include but not limited to the administration of the fund. And finally, 3, to provide for contributions made by members towards the fund. The rates of contribution by both the employer and the members will be outlined. Furthermore, the pension benefits that will be payable to members in the employment of the state shall be fixed in the members' conditions of employment. The Cabinet also considered the 2020 winter wheat pre-planting price and the 2019-2020 soybean producer floor prices presented by the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Water and Rural Resettlement, Honorable Shiri. And Cabinet approved as follows. A, that the pre-planting winter wheat producer floor price be pegged at Zimbabwe dollars 11,786.44 per metric ton at a margin of 20%, assuming a yield of 4 metric tons per hectare. B, that the premium price of grade A wheat be set at Zimbabwe dollars 14,143.73, which is again 20% above the wheat producer floor price. C, that the soybean floor price be set at Zimbabwe dollars 12,833 per metric ton at a 20% margin, assuming a yield of 2 metric tons per hectare. And D, that going forward, the cost build-up plus margin model should be used in the determination of producer prices. And finally, that the growing of sesame and sunflower be promoted to increase feedstock and also for cooking oil production and as an import substitution strategy. And finally, the Cabinet received a presentation of the ZIMVAC report and the Zimbabwe Domestic and International Appeal for Assistance. This report was presented by Honorable July Moyo, and Cabinet noted and approved that report, which clearly outlined that 75% of the rural districts had received over 50% of support from government. Government will soon unveil to the nation and the international donor community measures to be taken in order to map the way forward to bridge the food deficit gap, including through the launching of an international appeal of assistance. I thank you sincerely for listening.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This is now the time we are giving members of the media. Pose any questions through the chair. Yes, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to find out.
Sorry,
Your
name.
name?
Sorry,
Organization.
Rubit, I take my TV. I just wanted to find out where you said, or rather where the they have announced that the president has announced that there will be no gatherings of 100 people plus in the next 60 days. My first question is, why are we limiting it to 60 days? What if it's cured in 3 weeks? Or what if it goes maybe to 65 days? And then my second question is, are schools not gatherings? Considering especially primary school children are a bit irresponsible. When you tell them not to do this, they can do that. And then also the Zupco buses, they carry quite a number.
Okay. Yes, please, at the back.
My name is Tifazo, I'm a freelancer. My question also is in addition to your question. Are you going to ban the parliament since it has a huge number?
Okay. Yes, please.
And add-on, Margaret Pategri from ZBC. We also have the registrar's office, passport offices. What are you going to do about the numbers? We also have areas like the headquarters, the police headquarters. What measures have been put in place? We also have the magistrate's court. What is being done? And also on the numbers of the people that had been tested so far, on the ports of entry, it said 9,000. How many people go through those ports on a daily basis?
Okay. Somebody at the back, yes, please.
Thank you. My question
Your
is
name?
Leopold Nende from newslaw.com. I would be happy if the Minister of Information can maybe assist us with an update on the Victoria Falls case where the rapid response team is said to have cordoned off a lodge at which a suspected victim was still. Any updates around that? Thank you.
Okay. That completes the first round.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chief Secretary. Thank you once again for very good questions. Rubizai Tekma TV. Question or comments are on the no gatherings. And the question was, why are we limiting it to 60 days? And you also wanted to know schools, are they not gatherings? Zupco buses, they carry quite a big number. Honorable July Moy, if you can please tackle the question from Tekma TV.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Most of the positions that Cabinet has taken will be operationalized by committee. The first committee leading agency is the Ministry of Health and Child Care, and they will deal with most of the reported cases as has been outlined in the report. When it comes to other aspects of society in Zimbabwe, we have a committee that is looking after disasters, and that's where they are outlining what will happen with your supers, your ports. They will assist with the ports, the management. This involves a number of ministries, customs, immigration, police. All that will be coordinated again for purposes of screening people by the Ministry of Health. But when it comes to other aspects, the civil protection units are activated throughout the country. So Zupco obviously has already intimated to me what measures they are going to take, and we will be working with them to make sure that they take measures. Yes, they carry more than 60 people in a number of cases, but all our transportation system, not just of Zupco, we will be rolling out what measures we need to take.
Minister, I just noticed all the questions which are following are all on gatherings. Just to touch on them about whether the Parliament is going to be banned, the passport offices, the police HQ, magistrates court. I think finally the question was how many are coming through the ports of entry daily. But I think we gave a number.
Yeah. I don't know if they have the number of people who are coming daily, but that can be found. As to most of the buildings, we as Public Works are responsible for looking after all those buildings. We will be taking measures, and it has already been directed, for instance, that in all your entry points, when you are coming to these buildings, you wash, you will use the liquid that is being provided, you will be tested, and we are now working on the mechanics of doing it in all the buildings, including Parliament. And today, for those of you who went to Parliament, you saw that testing was already taking place because it's a workplace. And we are not just looking after government buildings, we are also urging the private sector to adopt the same methodology where workers are coming in. We hope that managers, chief executives will take precautions so that work continues to go on throughout the country.
Thank you, Minister July Moyo. And lastly, I think they would like an update on the traveller from the UK who was in Victoria Falls from the 7th to the 10th. We have the Minister of Tourism Museum. Minister Dogu, would you like to tackle that question?
Thank you so much, Chairperson, and thank you for the question. The traveller concerned in Victoria Falls stayed at Ilaya Lodge, and when she arrived, the officials at the port of entry made sure that the procedures they follow are as prescribed by the World Health Organization. So internationally, the World Health Organization has given guidelines on how to treat visitors, and they were satisfied that they followed those guidelines when the visitor was here. Suffice to say that we have been contact with the lodge, who also are taking a keen interest on the visitor concerned, particularly working through the agents that organize the travel. And the information that we are getting from the lodge where the visitor stayed is that upon return in the UK, she went straight home, self-isolated, and was attended to by paramedics who gave an assessment of suspected coronavirus. She has not yet been tested for that, and she is still at home. But the symptoms are showing that there is a possibility. So I just wanted to clarify, because the information out there is indicating that the visitor was tested. We have just confirmed that they are yet to test. In the UK currently, they only test you when you are in a hospital. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Grove, for that question, and I will back to you, Chief Secretary, for the second round.
Welcome to the second round. I want to implore the members of the media to diversify your perception so that we will be one. I'm trying to constrain. Okay, starting with you at the back.
Thank you, Tabu Chambagwe. Mine is regarding the pension issue that was raised. Seeing that the local currency is fast losing its value due to inflation, how feasible is this pension facility? What's backing this pension facility? Won't it just be another subject of talk and nothing that will come out in tangible, to the workers concerned? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, please.
My name is Mia Shamtena from The Voice magazine. Now that government has temporarily banned public gatherings of more than 100 people and church services, etc., Is there any possibility that government will make avail allowances for people who make a living out of gatherings? Or when not please don't laugh.
There's so much money.
Actually face possible hardships. Is government going to do anything about it to avert possible hardships? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, this is not to repeat. Yes, please.
My name is Problem Masal from German Press Agency. My question is also on coronavirus. I just want to ask, since Easter is coming, there is a possibility that some churches will ignore the ban. So I just want to know if there are any measures in place to make sure that the ban is strictly adhered to.
Okay.
Just a follow-up.
No, right at the corner, okay?
Mine is on the coronavirus. Last week, so my name is Aida Metu from newsmama.com. Last week, the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Health visited the Robert Mugabe Airport, and they noticed that the port health that is being used by the airport it belongs to PSMI, and it's not properly ventilated, and it doesn't have sanitizers and everything.
What?
Port health.
Okay.
Yes. So I wanted to confirm if is government going to do something on maybe an emergency port health that is for the airport, or they're going to continue using that one because it's not ventilated. There's just beds in there.
Okay. Can give one other person who has not participated. Yes, please.
My name is Tafaz Bogofa. My question was not answered.
Organization.
I'm a freelance journalist. Is the parliament going to be banned in the 60 days?
Okay, that's the last. Anyway, let me give you the last.
Thank you so much. My question was also not answered. Why are we limiting to 60 days? Why are we giving the virus a time frame?
Okay, so let me end today it was a month for women.
So Margaret again. Now my question is on Mbani Seeker. Who is taking charge of Mbani Seeker? Is it the council that's going to monitor it? Because we have a lot of traffic from farmers coming from all over. What's going to happen in that case?
Thank you very much once again for those questions. They are all around really for the preparedness for this deadly coronavirus. Taku Chambakwe started with the issue of pension, the pension issue. He says since the local currency is being eroded by inflation, so that it's meaningful to the people.
Thank you very much. In actual fact, the establishment of a contributory pension fund with defined benefits as well as defined contributions with defined benefits and defined contributions is in part a response to the issues that we have raised, the currency stability, where you have a contribution that can be used for investment, maybe in money markets or other investments. It's much better way. It's a much better way to hedge against those vicissitudes in the of the currency. So this is actually a response to where we want to increase the viability of the pension. There is actual work that has been done indicating how the investments of those contributions should be done in order to maintain their value. We also don't expect that the vicissitudes will be permanent. We should get to where we achieve the current stability in this country and can be in a hyperinflation situation forever. So it's also in preparation for situations where we have more stable currency, and we can use these resources to invest in a way that will give better value to the pensioners as they get to retirement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nyasha. She was asking about whether government will provide those who if you stop them from whatever they will be gathering to do, is government going to give them funding to avoid possible hardships? Honorable Dilemo, I think I should give you this opportunity. And maybe you can put it together with also a question from Problem, which was that the fact that Easter is coming back, is coming soon, and some churches, what is government going to do to some of the churches who may ignore that ban? I think let's handle those first. I'll come back.
No, thank you, Chair. Let me start with gatherings. We are aware, the Cabinet is aware of a number of gatherings that normally take place, especially during Easter. And the President would have mentioned this, that we are appealing to the churches to make sure that they take heed of the call by government, because this threat is real. And obviously we need to make sure that we reach out to these churches. We are saying let's have less gatherings. And because we are saying to the churches let's have less gatherings, we have to do a lot of work with them to make sure that they comply. As to the gathering, the hardships, yes, if you were referring to the hardships that we think will take place in such places like Mbarem Sika, and we have looked at it, and we want to have programs that can touch the lives of those people in Mbarem Sika, because we realize it's their livelihoods. Without completely banning them from doing their work, we have to do education work to make sure that they still take hygienic measures as they go about doing their business. Government has not banned people from carrying out their duties that make them live, that makes them earn a living. So that has not been done.
Thank you very much, Minister July. Certainly, I mean, the recommendations which are being made to be followed are to make sure that Zimbabweans protect themselves from being affected by the virus. And there's a lot which the Treasury is doing in terms of supporting all these measures to strengthen and intensify surveillance, to make sure that there are adequate tests in case management of this COVID-19. So a lot is being put in from the government's Treasury to make sure that all these measures are done. The other question was Ida Metu. She wanted to know, she said last week, I don't know, she's asking something about last week, but maybe since it's connected to coronavirus. She said last week the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee went to the airport, and they saw that the place, the Port Health, which belongs to PSMI, is not well ventilated. Is government going to build a Port Health to make sure that, but I know very well that the Minister of Health has already said there are ambulances at the airport all the time to make sure that every time when planes are arriving, with their cases to be transported straight to Wilkins, that will be done. But Minister Dula, if you have anything to educate.
No, there is an airport facilitation committee which is now meeting regularly to review all the standard operating procedures, which include the facilities that are there, and because of that shortcoming of the holding capacity at the port, at the port of entry at RG Mugabe International Airport. That's why, as the chair is saying, they placed ambulances so that once they suspect somebody, that person is taken straight to Paranato Hospital. When the first occurrences happened, yes, that facility, which is owned by PSMI, was the only facility they could hold some people in, and we think that before any upgrades are made, Wilkins, which is being upgraded, is the first place where people should be taken if they are suspected of having virus. And as the chair would have said, the ministry is trying to have testing equipment which can show some results within 15 minutes, and only after that, then people are taken straight to Wilkins Hospital. And if you are in Bulawayo, you are taken to another hospital. Thorn Group, which is also the same as Wilkins, and is also being upgraded in Bulawayo.
Thank you, Honorable July. Why are we limited to 60 days? Honestly, this is the initial stages of what the government is doing. If need be, it will remain active until after the WHO has removed that global alert. So really, it's not a question of fixed 60 days. If need be, that will be extended.